Good morning or afternoon, everyone. This is Alee Attoe with Your Connection to Source. Nice to be with you today. So last week I had some problems with the internet. Hopefully today that won't be an issue. So I'm here in Ontario, Canada. It's a beautiful rainy day today. We had a bunch of lovely hot weather, and now we get a little bit of rain to help cool everything off and nourish the plants. I'm just excited to be here with you guys. I'm a coach and instructor with BestLifeCreationSociety. Best Life is an incredible mastermind of people who come together to grow and expand into all the wonderful things that we can be. And as an outflow of Best Life, we have these beautiful events, whether they are Facebook Lives. Sorry, my phone is going off like crazy here. Whether they're Facebook Lives or workshops or some of our beautiful classes, we just have all kinds of wonderful things going on. So I'm hoping that the internet is working okay for me. If you can have trouble hearing me or if things are cutting in and out, I may or may not get the message, but let me know. And I'm just checking on my Facebook. Oh, you know what's so interesting? I cannot see your comments on my computer, but I can see them on my phone. So hi, Jen. Hi, Teresa. Good to see you guys. I want to talk today about resiliency, what it is and how we can foster it. And kind of what brought me on this topic, I'm just going to click to the article. I'm glad that I found it, but it was like one of those articles I was reading just before falling asleep, and I was like, oh, that's such an interesting idea. And then I forgot where it was, but I looked it up. There's an article I read on 6 steps towards resilience and greater happiness. And the thing that caught my eye was this first sentence. It says, the opposite of depression is not happiness. It is resilience, the ability to cope with life's frustrations without falling apart. And that sentence really struck me because we do most of the time think of, we tend to think in opposites a lot of times, in polarities. And we kind of tend to think that, if you're depressed, that you need to get happy. And I love the idea that instead of thinking that way, it's more about increasing your resilience so that when things do happen in life, you can bounce back. You can deal with those frustrations. And I'll read you the dictionary.com definition of resilience because it just expands it a little bit. So it's the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. Or toughness, it says, but I like better the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. And so, we talk a lot here about how the thoughts that we think, the feelings that we feel really play such a massive role in creating the life that we want. But we also know that stuff happens. We call that contrast when we're experiencing something that we know we don't want, but that also helps us figure out what we do want. Contrast happens, life happens. And so what is this idea of resiliency? It is being able to bounce back quickly. And what I really love is that from a lot of the tools we have at Best Life is that knowingness, the knowingness that we can gain about resiliency, which means the knowingness that if things come up and we're not feeling great, that we can get back. We can get back to where most of the time we're feeling good. We know we have agency and power in that situation to find a way to create something that will still benefit us and the people around us. Oh, hi, Scott. Hi, Espen. Nice to see you guys. Hi, Dave. So I'm going to tell you from the article the 6 things that this health advocate therapist says build resiliency, because they're all really good things. But there's one thing that I think underlies all of those things that is probably more important. than all of these. So the 6 steps towards resilience and greater happiness. It's an article by Therese J. Borchard. Again, she's saying the opposite of depression isn't happiness, it's resilience, the ability to bounce back. One is sleep. This is super obvious, but really, really important that if we're able to get a good night's sleep, that really sets us up for the day. I know I've really committed this year to help myself by helping myself get to bed and get enough sleep, because it's such a major player. If I get enough sleep, I will get up early enough to get a little bit of time to myself to meditate or do some gratitude practices. If I get enough sleep, I'm less cranky. It's easier to be in positive emotions. If I get enough sleep, then I know that I'll have a little bit more ability to have the time to get the things done that I want. The next thing, number 2, is diet. Of course, we all know this already. We're kind of beat over the head with it, that if you eat better, you'll probably feel better if you can. Exercise, same thing. We all have probably experienced when we've exercised and felt really good. So of course, it makes sense that exercise release some stress, could give us a bit more resiliency there. Relationships and community, of course, having great relationships, having friends you can rely on, family. I mean, that's one of the things I think everybody who is members at Best Life, it's one of the massive benefits of membership is we have this community all over the world, people we can talk to pretty much anytime, classes that we're on, but outside of that too, if you have a great church community or great friendships, great neighbors, that will increase your resiliency. Purpose, having purpose increases your resiliency. That knowingness of where you're going and having that emotional connection to feeling like, yes, this is part of why I'm here on this earth. This is my purpose. That increases your ability to navigate through things in life, because it doesn't feel like things are happening randomly or that there's no purpose or reason for them. You kind of have a vision of how you want to move forward. And then those obstacles might not seem so daunting if there are any obstacles at all. And the last one she talks about is gratitude. So again, this is all stuff I think we know about resilience. Gratitude helps us because we kind of train ourselves to see the positive, to appreciate the things that are around us, and actually, there's been a lot of studies around gratitude. If you guys ever follow Brené Brown, she calls herself a shame researcher, but she really studies human emotion and how resiliency works, how gratitude works. And the people who have the most sustained amount of joy in their life, regardless of their circumstances, are those who practice gratitude and appreciation. So all of these things obviously are things that if we want to increase our resilience, our ability to bounce back from circumstances in life that are things that we know we don't want on a regular basis, those 6 things are going to help us. Absolutely. They're all incredibly valuable, and you could talk about each of those 6 points for a long time. There's just so much more there. But what I want to talk about, what I really think and feel is the underlining or the undergirding of resiliency is your connection to your source, your connection to your inner being. Because even if you haven't had enough sleep, if you're not eating well, if you are depressed and you haven't learned how to be resilient yet, that is the thing that's going to help you, the knowledge of your connection to something bigger than yourself. That will, I really believe, and I think I'm speaking a lot from my personal experience here, that will give you that ladder to, if you're somewhere emotionally that you don't want to be, or you're seeing circumstances in your life that you don't want. For me, resiliency, the knowingness that I can bounce back from any situation, comes from the understanding that I have an eternal, unbreakable, unshakable connection with the divine. You know, that my inner being, my source, God, higher power, that is what makes me resilient. And the more that I can tune in to that source, right, and get perspective through God's eyes, through higher power's eyes, that, you know, a lot of those exterior circumstances, which can seem so daunting and overwhelming, they start to look different. They start to change. And it's like suddenly you can see how everything really can work out for you, for other people in the situation. Doors, avenues, windows open up that we maybe never could have seen without kind of knowing that bigger, broader perspective. So, oh, hi, Tracy and Dave. So for me, resiliency really does come down to understanding that we have a connection to a consciousness, a source that thinks nothing but good for us, that wants nothing more than to help us succeed, to help us realize the purpose that we came here for. You know, and there can be multiple purposes, but I think we all kind of have that sense inside of us. If we're in that place where we are feeling that connection to God, and we're feeling who we really are, then we really can have that sense that there is something or things that we want to do here, things that really resonate with us. And that goes back to that purpose, and having that purpose with source, not purpose like I should do this because this is what people have told me I should do, but that purpose that's inspired from within, from that connection. Then again, if things come up, contrast comes up in life, we have our target, we have that vision of where we want to go, and those things won't seem so daunting, right? We know then that we are supported. We know then that we have the help of the universe at our backs, and that our job then is to keep tuning in to what we're feeling inside of us, in our inner being, and as much as possible to shift our emotions to a better feeling place, and as much as possible start imagining the future as we want it to be. I'm just going to read a couple notes here before I go on, in case we want to expand. Jen says, oh yes, your connection to your inner being. When you feel good, you are there. And when you feel any form of stress or distress, there is a degree of separation from the greater aspect of who you really are. So this is where our emotional guidance system really comes into play, right? It's not good or bad to feel emotions, whether they're positive or negative, but it's like an indicator. So if we're feeling a lot of frustration, a lot of stress, we're feeling anger, then we know that we're not quite aligned or in sync with God or with our inner being. And it's not meant to be a like, oh shoot, I got frustrated again. It's just meant to be like, oh shoot, you know, it's like my gas is running a little low. You know, what do I need to do to fill up my gas tank? It's just an indicator that we're not quite aligned. And the amazing thing is that, again, the more we're able to see and feel that, then it means we can take steps to be in a better feeling place. And we know the more that whatever we're feeling now is the best indication of what we're going to feel in the future. So, you know, caring about how we feel, taking those steps to feel better as much as we're able to, it's, you know, it really has a big impact on our life. Dave says, yes, Alee, the alignment allows us to feel good unconditionally as opposed to needing a condition to feel good. Yes. And this is a thing where, again, underpinning all of those things, all those great things, getting enough sleep, eating well, having a great community. I mean, sometimes like you can read an article like that and be like, I have none of those things. So what am I going to do? You know, but what we all have is that connection to our source, right? And there's plenty of people who have had nothing on that resiliency list, but they got tuned in to that connection to God, that connection to source. And as they followed that connection, as they followed that feeling, then they were able to start building those other things in their life, the friendships, the connections, realizing how important appreciation and gratitude is, because it is that connection that comes first, and that feeling, that knowingness of that connection, that comes first. And then it's easier, guys, it's easier to do all the other stuff afterwards. It's easier to get more sleep. It's easier to eat well when you're in alignment, because it's easier to choose things that feel good to you. It's easier to find friends and or not family, but easier to make friends with people who are also going to uplift you as you want to uplift them, because you're going to attract those people. But it all comes from that connection. It all comes from that knowingness. And so how do we increase this sense of resilience? Which really, when we're saying resilience, how do we increase that knowingness of our connection with source, or connection with God? And there's a lot of ways to do this, but, and you know, we talk about this every week, obviously, like if you're able to meditate and quiet your mind, a lot of times that place where you feel almost like numb or disconnected, or like you're floating, that's a feeling of connection with your source. You can just ask, you know, source, God, higher power, whatever word feels good to you. You know, I know that we are connected, but I just want to feel more of that more. Can you help me find a way to open that up, right? So I have just more of a sense of you. And then follow what feels good with that. You might feel led to go take a walk by yourself. You might feel led to take a nap. You know, you might feel led just to take a few deep breaths. And you might find opportunities if you're like, oh gosh, I'm so busy. You know, when do I have time to do this? If you ask source or universe, God, for help, a way will be opened, because you know who wants you to experience that more than you is God, source. You know, like it's like having this incredible, like, can you imagine going into, let's say like a football stadium that's packed to the gills, and you're standing in the middle, and that entire crowd of people is there cheering for you, wanting you to do well, wanting you to succeed, like 100% believing in you, and like here to assist you. It's like that. That's what we have. You know, even bigger capacity than that when you think about the love and intention that source has for us, the overflow of well-being. And we get to tune into that. We get to tune into that as much as we want. So, you know, so it's taking those, sometimes it can be really small practices, guys. It doesn't have to be going up on a mountaintop and fasting for 30 days. Just finding those little connection points. And another thing too, that, you know, when we were at the Abraham event in Denver, they talk so much about daydreaming. And I really find that daydreaming, you know, is another way to really connect to that source and to connect to resiliency. Because again, daydreaming will help you realize more of your purpose. And it might not be like so specific, like my purpose is to, you know, start an aid organization. Your purpose partially is how you want to feel. Like my purpose in this life, part of my purpose in this life is to feel truly alive, to feel as alive as I can possibly feel, and trusting that my source, that God, that connection knows what circumstances to bring to my life to help me feel the most alive. And then there's this beautiful cycle, because as I feel more alive and more alive, that starts to affect, that's a ripple effect of affecting people around me. And I mean, we know this, when people are in alignment with their purpose and with their source, there is nothing that can stop them. Abraham Hicks says that one person in alignment is more powerful than millions who aren't. So part of finding that alignment and that purpose and that joy can really come from daydreaming. So we're taught a lot to discount daydreaming. in Western society, like you get in trouble for it. But, when you think about a lot of the big tech companies and how they come up with some of their most innovative solutions, like think of Google. If you have not done this yet, Google Offices and look at the spaces they make for people to daydream. They have like canoes tipped over with pillows in it. They've got these like isolation pods where you can like just kind of go into your own space. They've got all kinds of things that are playful and fun, but they allow people to get away from just the number crunching or the other things that you have to do that are very mind oriented. They let people go into another space and just daydream about the next tech solution, about the next product that they can offer, right? And those solutions come from that space. It's part of why Google is so massively, massively successful. So, okay, if a giant tech company is actually paying people to daydream because they think they're going to find more products that are going to help them make more money, like this is valuable in and of itself, but I think it shows the power of, wow, maybe I should work some time into daydream in my life, even if it's for 5 seconds, even if it's for 10 seconds. But taking that step to kind of allow yourself to get into that creative space. Now, you might have a big goal and dream that you want to work towards, and that might be fun to daydream about if it feels good. Daydreams need to feel good and fun and free and light and like they're expanding. That's how you know you're in a good daydream versus a nightmare being like, I'm thinking about something and all I can see are the negative consequences and how this one negative thing can turn into like 10 negative things. That's nightmaring, right? Don't do that. Shift, backpedal, try to think about something, try to get back into appreciation, even if it's very, very general, just try to let that go. And if you need to just appreciate sunshine and green grass and breathing air, do that, get somewhere really general. And then if you can shift into a daydream, it doesn't have to be about your big goals and dreams, right? Because again, we're looking for that feeling. You can daydream about walking on the beach. You can daydream about if you have something really memorable in your past that you'd like to go back to, you can kind of go back there and find the feeling and then expand from there. So for me, I do have, I used to live very close to a beach. So a lot of if I want to just take a minute to daydream, we'll be back, remembering laying on the beach and hearing the waves and that feeling of freedom and expansion. Or, I love to hike. So I have a couple of favorite trails in California that I remember and in Montana and even here. So it might be remembering that feeling of going around the corner and finding like a beautiful mountain vista. And again, that feeling of freedom and lightness and expansion and just daydreaming from there. So your daydreams don't have to be necessarily about your goals and dreams, but if that feels good, then do that too. You can imagine your day. You can imagine, especially if it feels really like inspired, it feels like it's, you're starting the daydream, but almost like it turns into a movie. Like it's almost like you're receiving those thoughts or watching that movie instead. Then you'll really get into a beautiful, beautiful space. Those daydreams increase your resiliency because you are increasing your belief, you're increasing your faith, you can feel it. It's not just a mental exercise, it is a feeling exercise, it is a vibrational exercise. And when most of your day is in that place where you feel so alive and connected to yourself and expanded, you feel so good, when something comes up, it's not going to shake you the same way. I'm going to read what Dave says really quick. Source, God, universe, being, etc., loves us unconditionally, and all daydreams throughout the day can be short, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. The magic of feeling those sparks of joy throughout the whole day. Absolutely. This can change the trajectory for our whole day. And we know if we have a good day, that we're more likely to have a good day tomorrow. and then we're more likely to have another good day. And when or if these things come that, you know, might have normally kind of knocked us off course, we'll find that they're not such a big deal. I know for me, when I am in a more daydreamy state, when I am really kind of in my knowingness that I'm connected to source, that there's this incredible source of well-being that's directing its beam on me and wants my life to go well, wants me to participate and join in with that. When my kids have a fight, I'm able to be a very present mother and sort it out, right? That's because of my life circumstances. That's where I see it most. If my kids are fighting or doing something they're not supposed to, if I'm in daydreamy, like, oh, all is good state, I can be this wonderfully present mother. We can sort it out. Everyone feels good at the end. If I'm not, you know, and actually my kids are such a great indicator to me. If I'm feeling impatient or frustrated at something they're doing, you know, that's a good indicator to me, like, oh, I need to step back into that connection with my source as much as I can. And if I, you know, like all of us, if I make a mistake and I'm not, I join in their frustration instead of being the influencer out of my good feeling emotions, then I just have to forgive myself and move on and apologize to my kids if I need to. And we all move on together. And it's a great example to them of that contrast as well. So this is part of how we learn to live in this place of expansion and in this place of resiliency, meaning we can bounce back quickly if we need to, because we're so grounded, we're so knowledgeable, we have a knowingness, we have a certainty that there is a connection to something that undergirds us, that the universe actually is a very safe place, and that the entire universe, God, source, is cheering us on, like cheering us on every second of the day and constantly calling us to a higher place, constantly calling us to, do you want to feel more? Do you want to feel even better? Do you want to expand even more? Whatever you want, it's here for you. It is right here for you. And we get the incredible joy of stepping into that more and more and more. I'm just going to read a comment from Jen. Yes, daydream, feel the freedom. Feel the freedom. It is giving you a little glimpse of the vortex, what's already vibrationally created by the greater aspect of you. So what Jen is saying here is, so we're saying that there is a part of you that is eternal, that knows everything that you can be and want to be. And when we ask for something out there in the universe, I mean, if you want to do the quantum physics, the 0-point field, the collective the consciousness of the universe might be a better way to say it, God, that the thing that you want is actually already created. It's there for you. And it's just a matter of when we line up with it, when we feel good, when we are a match to the thing that's already created, then it can come into our physical experience. It's like it can be birthed. So Jen is saying is that, you know, what we put out there, what we say we want, it's already there for us. That's when you, if you listen to any Abraham Hicks, and they talk about the 3 steps or the 5 steps of manifesting what you want, you know, step 1 is asking, right? And in those moments of contrast, those moments where we're like, oh, I don't like this, we automatically know what we do want. And so that thing is already kind of out there for us. It's created for us. And step 2 is that it's created. The universe, like, boom, it has your order. You know, if you think about, like, if you go on Amazon and you want to order pretty much anything, a tripod, yoga socks, I don't know why these words are coming to me, but a book, it's like, it's already there, it's in stock, but you have to become a match for the thing that you want. So you have to put the order in, And when you're ready for it, you click and it comes to you. It's kind of like that. When our emotions are in the right place, when our frequency, our vibrations in the right place, those things that we've already created can come to us. So it's a pretty awesome process. I think I'm going to end it off here for now, guys. So, I mean, the biggest takeaway is that, resiliency can be like, there's all these things that can build up: sleep, your exercise, your diet, your friendships, your gratitude. But underpinning it all always is that connection to our source, our inner being, the divine, that some of the ways we can increase that resiliency is increasing our knowingness of that connection, through daydreaming, through meditating, through appreciation. But it's finding that feeling where you feel expanded, where you feel connected. Even thinking, ooh, I feel resilient isn't really on the table, because you just feel so good. You're not even thinking about having to push against any other emotions. You're just enjoying the moment and enjoying feeling good. So I hope this has been helpful or informative, or probably for most people, not very informative, but just reaffirming some of the things we already know. And it has been a joy and a pleasure, as always, to be here with you. If you want to, participate in more of the things we have at Best Life, again, we always have workshops on Mondays and Wednesdays. They are interactive, so you can go on the workshop, ask questions, interact directly, add your own experience and input, which is incredible. We have a Facebook Live pretty much every single day. And we'll have more and more classes for you guys to participate in as well. And for people who, thanks, Tracy. Thanks, Jen. And for people who want to find out more about membership, you can go to our beautiful website, which is www.BestLifeCreationSociety.com. We have daily classes that expand more and more into how we just learn to be our best selves in this physical world. There's an incredible community that's involved with that. Access to one-on-one coaching, group coaching, mentoring calls, and all of our paid for classes that we put together are free for members as well. So it's an incredible community. So if you're interested in that, check it out on our website. Otherwise, I will see you guys next Thursday. Wishing you lots of beautiful, scrumptious, delicious daydreaming this week. Okay, bye for now, guys.